So, we're going to read scary urban legends and stories, you know, the fun stuff. So, we're going to see what the difference is between American urban legends and Japanese urban legends. The difference is I think Japanese urban legends are scarier, just a little bit. So, we're going to start with regular, like American urban legends that most of us should be very familiar with. Unless you're like me and you read a bunch of urban legends from around the world, then you know almost all of them. Now, I'm getting all of these off as scary for kids, like I normally do, because that's where I read it from, and I find it easier this way. So that no kids can hear these. Oh, whoa. My laptop had a turd for just a split second. Okay, so is this on? This is on. This is on. I had to make sure it was on. Alright, so let's start with the babysitter. Because why not? Okay. So, The Babysitter is a scary story based on an urban legend about a teenager who is babysitting three children and one night receives a very creepy phone call from a strange man. It tells him there's the babysitter and the man upstairs. A version of the tale also appeared in the storybook Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which is actually a pretty good book. There was a young girl who was in need of a job. So she looks for a job, and while she's looking for work, she finds a couple who lives in a very isolated part of town. In an old house. They want to go see a movie, but they need a babysitter for their kids. So they ultimately hire her because they're the only ones that they found. She's the only one they found. So the babysitter would put them to bed when it got late, and they went downstairs to watch TV. Because the parents said she could. So she was just getting uncomfortable, and when she heard the phone ring, that's a good way to continue on the story. When she answered, there was heavy breathing on the other side, followed by a man's voice saying, "Have you checked on the kids?" Freaked out, she hung up and tried to convince herself it was just someone playing a practical joke. She went back to watching television. If someone calls and asks you if you've checked on the kids, go check on the babies. I don't care how old they are. Kids are still babies. So she hangs up the phone. And then about 15 minutes later, the phone rings again. Except this time, it's hysterical laughter. Why haven't you checked on the kids? Again, check on those babies. Okay. The girl being frightened immediately called the police. The operator at the police station told the babysitter that if the man called again, she had to try to keep talking to him so the police could trace the call. Sure enough, a few minutes later, it rings a third time. He goes, "You should really go check on the kids." This time, the operator from the police station yelled, "Get out of the house right now. The cops are coming upstairs. The call's coming from the upstairs phone." The babysitter dropped the phone, shocked. She heard heavy footsteps walking down the stairs. Without pausing for a second, she ran out of the house as fast as she could. What about the kids? She just forgot about them. The police searched the house, found two children upstairs hiding in the closet, crying uncontrollably. She left the kids inside. Weren't there three of them? Yeah, babysitting three kids. Okay. Crying in the closet. In the parents' room, they found a bloody axe on the floor next to the upstairs phone. The back window was open and the curtain was blowing in a breeze. There was no sign of the madman. He had escaped into the night. The police arrived and managed to interrupt the horrible plan to kill the two children and the poor babysitter. Where's the third kid? Where's the third kid? Because the story description says a teenager who was babysitting 3 children, but there's only 2. Apparently, there's no third child. Scariest part about this is she didn't even think to go get the kids. There's a madman in the house. First thing you're gonna do is get your kids, even though they're not hers. She's watching them. Babies first. I have paint on my arm, by the way. Washable Crayola paint. Let's. I don't know. Alright. Let's read a Japanese urban legend now. Put them side by side. The Blue Robe. The Blue Robe is a scary story about a wandering priest who battles a ghoul. This sounds stupid. I'm sorry. The folklore called the Blue Hood. I can't pronounce any of the names that are in Japanese here. I'm sorry. If you came here for correct pronunciation of any of them, you've come to the wrong place. Which was the Blue Hood was written in 1776, and probably a translation of an even older Chinese story. So it's a Japanese folklore. Came out 1776, but it comes from China. So long ago, there was a Buddhist priest named Kyan, who wore a blue robe. He spent his days traveling around Japan, meditating, praying, and trying to help those who were in need. One evening, he came to a village called Tomita. Sorry. As soon as the people laid eyes on him, they began shouting and screaming. The women and the children fled, screaming and wailing, falling over each other and rushing away. The men grabbed their weapons and started running toward him, saying, kill him before he kills us." "What's wrong?" he said, as he put up his hands. "You have no need to fear me. I don't mean to harm you." So when the man saw his frightened face, they threw down their weapons and laughed nervously. "Sorry," said one man. "We thought you were someone else." "Yes, we apologize for the confusion," said another. "It's just because of your blue robe." Once the men introduced themselves and invited him in to stay in the village in a house. He said he was the village blacksmith and offered him a food and drink. "When we saw you coming, we thought you were a demon." "Why would you think that? Do I look like a demon?" "Well, it's a horrifying story, but I might as well tell you. So, on the mountain above the village, there is a temple, and the priest who lives there wears a blue robe, just like yours. The priest used to have a reputation for being highly intelligent and kind-hearted. He visited all the houses, and he was always nice and polite. The people trusted him. All that changed last spring. The priest went to another village to perform a bed. When he came back, he had a young boy with him. He was around 12 or 13. The priest spent all his time with the boy, and it was almost as if he was in love with him. Everyone thought it was very strange. No, it is strange. Then the boy was struck down with an illness. His condition became very serious, and a doctor came to the city to take care of him. Sadly, it was no use. The boy died. The priest cried and cried until he couldn't cry anymore, and he cried until his voice came out. The strangest of all was he refused to allow the body to be buried or cremated. Instead, held the boy's corpse in his arms and clutched his hands and caressed his cheek if he was still alive. No. We didn't realize it at the time, but the priest had gone stark raving mad. All I can think of is Alice in Wonderland. Sorry. What they saw made him run. Screaming in terror, the priest was eating the boy's flesh. No. Absolutely not. Oh, we all heard about the stories about demons, and that's why we mistook you. Some people who are born as humans but do go wrong, and there are evil and immortal things. One case I know of a woman who turned into a snake and another man's mother became a ghoul. I know of another man who liked the flesh of children and secretly kidnapped kids. Everyone in the story is a cannibal. Nope. Basically, this is a story about a bunch of dark stuff. Ooh. Very detailed. Alright. So we heard a rooster crow in the distance. Well, okay. There's a riddle. Upon the water goes and among the trees and the wild breeze blow. Throughout the night the darkness flows, and that's why this is nobody knows. So he hears the rooster crow, and he goes, "Have you figured out the solution to my riddle?" "Not yet." "That's because there's not one." So Kian, with a guttural cry, pulls out a long sword and swings with all his might. The blade went right through the priest's neck. And he totally decapitated the man. The man topples over. He cleans off his blade, slides it back inside the rod he has, and then he sets out for a long journey on the mountainside to tell the villagers their nightmare was at an end. Oh, he's the bad guy. He's the bad guy. Ooh. They should have killed him. Anyway. I just wanted to read those. I saw them earlier. I could turn this off.